And then we are bringing our next or maybe last speaker on the panel list, which is Dr. Ada Okika, the founder of Center for SDG on Global Education. So she will be talking to us.
But before I get into my presentation, I would like to inform our friend Calista on the question regarding people living with disabilities and the virus. I think what we should know is that with the agenda of the United Nations of Leave No One Behind, I'm not sure that there is any agenda to leave the people living with disabilities and the virus behind. Everything is still being put in place, and there should be all inclusiveness. So the present situation or the present new normal must include everyone, because the online high-level political forum right now is also addressing concerns on the COVID and everyone that has to be included. And the bottom agenda is leave no one behind. So no one will be left behind on any issue. Thank you. I want to look at the community efforts of Miss CARICOM Foundation International, especially with the rise of the COVID-19 pandemic. And ever since this event, Miss CARICOM, being a non-profit organization in special consultative status at the United Nations, have taken to the community with a program together with COVID-19. And this program has been able to address nutrition, literacy, education about the COVID in various languages, especially within the community. And in line with this, we are trying to expand on that, especially in CARICOM communities, with significant focus on the 5 P's of the Sustainable Development Goals. And what are these 5 P's of Sustainable Development Goals? We are looking at the people who are the people in the CARICOM communities, and then the planet is the rural communities and the environment of the CARICOM countries. We're also looking at the prosperity. How can these communities prosper within this, excuse me, within this pandemic, within the situation, within the environment of the new normal? How can the communities prosper? That's the top P. And then we're looking at the peace, and justice within the communities of the CARICOM, regarding the new normal and the COVID-19, as well as, of course, bringing in other, looking at future pandemics. What will be the yardstick for peace and justice within these communities? And of course, we are talking about the partnership. And we are glad that most speakers like Professor May, Dr. Philip Finn, who spoke all the way from Canada, has also mentioned a lot of another speaker that shared their initiatives, have opened the door for partnership. We even applaud Senator Sanders for even sharing his own personal contact, and Carrie Solage, who also sent his email. So these are openings for partnership and the integration of what the various stakeholders are doing regarding the economic cooperation in CARICOM communities. So the partnership, the people, the peace, the planet, and the prosperity. These are the 5 P's of the Sustainable Development Goals. The entire 169, 17 goals and 169 targets of SDGs are grouped into these 5 P's. And if you look at the slide, you look at the people who are focused on the SDG 1, which is talking about eradication of poverty, SDG 2, ending of hunger, SDG 3, talking about health and well-being, SDG 4 talking about education, and SDG 5 also talking about gender equality. So these are the group of the people. And you look at the planet, you look about things in the planet environment. We look at water and sanitation, consumption, the sustainable cities. We look everything that deals with environment within the corridors of the CARICOM communities. The same thing with prosperity, looking at the energy, the inequalities, sustainable cities, the things that has to do with growth and development. And then we are looking at the peace, which is on SDG 16, surely on peace and justice. And then the partnership, which is the last SDG. So you can see that all the SDGs are grouped into the 5 Ps. And that's exactly what the Miss CARICOM Foundation is trying to do in addressing the COVID-19 with a campaign on Together with COVID-19 in CARICOM communities. So this slide is trying to specify the work of Miss CARICOM Foundation International regarding 5 Ps of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And as we said, you look at the people, the first P is people, and the CARICOM is linked to at all inclusive on human growth and development. And when we mean all inclusive, we mean everyone that is a living being within the CARICOM community. Of course, the people living with disabilities, the people infected with various illness, the children, the adults. Talk about the planet, as I said, it has to deal with communities of the CARICOM community, every community within the CARICOM countries. And then we talk about the prosperity, which deals with sustainable economic, social, health, and well-being development within the CARICOM communities. Then we are looking at the peace. So there should be consideration, even in times of the new normal, about communal peace and neighborhood relationships within the CARICOM communities. And then we take the last P, which is the partnership, and a clarion call has to do with collaboration with community stakeholders, regional partners, civil societies, and everyone that deals with the agenda that has to talk about any of the options within the needs in the in any pandemic. Now we all know that this pandemic has affected the issues about economic development, has affected feeding. A lot of people have lost jobs. A lot of people have lost even health and even emotional relationship, emotional peace. These things has to be addressed within community, even as we work towards the as Ms. CARICOM moves along to take the regional campaign on to COVID-19. So we want to applaud you that whoever is interested to join Ms. CARICOM with the organization or the agency or whatever into this campaign, into this regional campaign on Together with COVID-19. And that will address various issues, including education, including literatures about the COVID, including measures taken for COVID-19, and all that needs to be in place to ensure sustainability. We've heard about symptoms, prevention, measures, and all the rest of them. But most importantly, the health and well-being of people also has to be considered. So, and these are included in the battle for the COVID-19, Together with COVID-19 as an initiative of Ms. CARICOM. And I'm pleased to let you know this conference is trying to bring it to the global awareness that this conference is trying to recognize the regional campaign on Together with COVID-19 in CARICOM communities. And we want to applaud Ms. CARICOM for taking this initiative up. I thank you.
Maybe Mr. Ford, you could tell us a little bit about, talk a little bit about your African input here.
Well, Monica, I know that I was invited realistically to try to enhance the operation by linking you to my network. But as you know, I am a little more intimately related to your organization because I was not only there in the concept of your organization, Miss CARICOM pageant. I was not only there when we went to Africa in about 13 years ago with Danny Glover and Arthur Smith and established some trade relations with Africa. I was there when you started this drive to the UN to expand your program. And I was always there when you came to support me when I decided to utilize the products from South Africa to build a business and a brand here in New York, which I did get done. So I want to really give you a lot of praise for, you know, us on that 20-hour flight to Africa when we talked and when we were coming back as to what Africa did for us while we were there. And, you know, that's one of the things I wanted to mention, that I feel very proud to know you and to see what you're doing with the CARICOM organization. But I also wanted to mention a couple of things that was said today that I am very close to. Obviously, as you know, my family has lived for the last 13 years from the one product, one plant coming from South Africa. That is amazing that I could have just one resource, one little plant, and develop a brand here in the United States, which probably netted several $1 million. And I was also, with that money, able to put up the network that I just linked you into, where globally people can see this this presentation that you put on. And I have not only the connection here in the metro New York area and nationwide, but I also have access to Africa and to other countries around the world because of the efforts of this new technology. And, you know, as Professor May was talking about the new normal and the relationships that we should fester, or we should get going, because we learn from our experience 400 years, which is another long story about my family escaping from slavery here in the United States and, you know, migrating to Trinidad and Tobago. I know that we learned that nobody's going to give us anything. We have to develop whatever we have to develop. And like Professor May was saying, you know, we need to fester some relationships. And this is basically what this is all about. This is what my network, East Coast Radio, NY, New York, is all about. This is what I think is the answer to our problems, whether we have the pandemic or not, because I just had my son download the pandemics that hit us since way back in 3000 BC, and we came all the way to the Zika virus in 2015. We know the West African
1 o'clock.
Ebola epidemic in 2014 to 2016. We had the AIDS epidemic in 1981. We've been there before, so we cannot say that this is going to alter our lives. It's going to change things, but a lot is changing also, because there is a lot of conversation here in the United States that this COVID-19 virus is something that has something to do with a new breakthrough in technology called 5G, which takes us 100 years into the future. And most people don't know how to use their phones right now. Most people in our communities really do not have a grip on the new technology in terms of phones and the new technology that is available to them. And we are now launched 100 years into the future. So Dr. Monica, Professor May, and also I want to say to Dr. Adder, you hit right on the point that I wanted to talk about, and that is economic, friendship and economic relationships, and working with what we have, because we have a lot. A lot of people, it's kind of like when I first went to Africa, the Europeans have really given me a very bad idea of what Africa looked like. I had to, when I went to Sabaya, I had to apologize to the Africans over there that when I was coming there, I was expecting to walk through lions and jungles and dilapidation and all of that, which was a shock to me and an embarrassment that, I would let myself be, educated in the wrong way. So with that said, this is a great opportunity. This is a great situation that you're creating here. And I just hope that you keep me in the loop, and I hope that I get to talk more with the professor and Dr. Adder and everybody concerned who, reside in Africa and who can, forge some friendships with us over here. And now that we have the technology, we can use the technology to stay in touch and, make things happen for everybody in concern. Thank you very much for letting me talk.
Thank you, Trevor Ford. Trevor Ford, thank you so much for your speech. I want also to ask if we have the Congresswoman and the panelists, if she's in to speak with us.
Well, the Congresswoman is getting off another Zoom. As you know, these are all Zoom, and everyone is trying to share information and get information as to our new way of life. So in about 5 minutes, the Congresswoman should be online. I just want to use this opportunity right now to talk a little bit about Miss CARICOM Foundation. My colleague, friend, brother, Mr. Trevor Ford, and I go a long way back. And it was in 2003 that I sat in his office and I decided to come up with Miss CARICOM Foundation. At the time, my daughter had just gotten ill at the age of 21, and I was panicking, and I wanted to do something that would enhance women, that would empower and promote women. So it was in his office that I said, wow, why don't I do a beauty pageant? And CARICOM was birthed. Then it was just a pageant, which has grown into a foundation, which has grown into a monster today. So I just want to share a little bit about Miss CARICOM. It's the love of my life, Miss CARICOM, because it's a foundation that empower and promote women and youth. But we have a caring interest in people. And so it has led us down many different lanes into highways and byways. And since the COVID-19, we find ourselves on this journey of kindness, where we have launched this campaign together with COVID. This campaign together with COVID-19 has led us down some new and interesting pathways. One of the programs that we have is called our Kindness Campaign. In this program, we serve breakfast, and in particular to undocumented persons. And the reason for that is because it's a struggle now. Income economics, what we're talking about, is a problem. And you find that here in America, you have undocumented persons that are unable to access any kind of help. And so we feel that a hot meal at least helps. So we've served over 5,000 hot meals since March. And that's one of our programs. We have another program that is very diligent. And as a matter of fact, we've started a GoFundMe for it, and it's in Nigeria, it's in Abuja, it's in rural area, and it's our rural communities program. We have an organization there that we have become a parent company to that organization, Save Africa Children, and we've managed to help over 10,000 rural children. We teach them how to make masks, and some of them has used that trade now to make and sell the masks, which has become a form of income. Also, we teach them how to make hand sanitizer, which they also use right now as an income to sell. And basically what that organization does, it's teach rural people. It's under my commission, UNESCO Institute for Fashion Education. I see the Congresswoman is on right now, and so I know that she's absolutely busy. I just want to say congratulations in her recent re-election. I want to say that I love her dearly. I love her mother more, but she has been a strong youth advocate for us Caribbean people. And I want her to know that we love her, we support her, and we appreciate her energy and effort that she has focused into our Caribbean communities. So I want to thank her. I want to congratulate her again. And I want to say that we love you and appreciate you. I won't hold up. If you can introduce the Congresswoman, my sister, the love of my life, our U.S. Congresswoman, Yvette Clarke. I don't know where my MC is. I don't know if your mic is on. Where's our technical? I see your mic is mute. Oh, it's unmute.
It's unmute. Let me first of all say a pleasant good afternoon to you, Ms. Monica Sanchez and Ms. CARICOM. Let me thank you for again inviting me to participate in this afternoon's foundation webinar. And let me thank you for your congratulations. We are still actually in the campaign mode. We are still counting ballots. As you know, many people had the option of voting by absentee through mail, and those ballots are still being counted. But I am so grateful to our community who came out in record high numbers for the primary on election day and leading up to election day with early voting, and they really put me over the top. The number of folks who came out in our constituency was one of the #1 constituency votes in the state of New York. So I have to thank everyone who understood the importance of this election, who understood how critical it was for us to come out, notwithstanding the challenges we faced during this period of COVID-19, but to strengthen our democracy. As Madame Sanchez mentioned, I am Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke, and I currently represent you in the 9th Congressional District of New York, which encompasses Central and South Brooklyn. This is the district in which I have been born and raised and have lived my entire life. But I am the child of 2 Caribbean immigrants who came from the beautiful island nation of Jamaica. And my parents came to the United States in the 1950s and watched as this community and welcomed so many who came from throughout the Caribbean diaspora to make Central Brooklyn their home. And so the people I fight for in Washington, D.C. are my neighbors and the village that helped to raise me. Let me talk a little bit about the issues of the Caribbean, both home here in New York and abroad. It holds such special significance for me. As everyone knows, the world has been gripped by the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. The Caribbean region has not been immune, but I have to say that our leadership has done an extraordinary job under extraordinary circumstances in keeping the virus at bay. For most of our nations, the pandemic has not overtaken the population, which is always a concern because we know that we have vulnerable ecosystems in the Caribbean region, not as many healthcare facilities. And so they have done a tremendous job, far greater and better, unfortunately, than the US has done in really keeping the pandemic at bay. But we have to continue to keep all of our folks back home and here in the US in our prayers, because as long as there's one person that carries this virus, we all remain vulnerable. And while the Caribbean community has so far been spared the worst effects, we know that this pandemic touches all of us. Many Caribbean nations rely on tourism as a major pillar of their economies. And with the pandemic nearly rendering international travel impossible, countries are wrestling with how to maximize the summer travel period while keeping the citizens of their nation safe. As much as the United States begins to reopen, my fellow legislators and I have an obligation to ensure that we are doing so responsibly, knowing that our actions have a ripple effect on the rest of the world. So it is important that in any recovery effort, we undertake and keep both the economic and health concerns of the Caribbean in mind. Through the CDC, the United States has distributed over $3 million to several Caribbean nations, as well as the Caribbean Public Health Agency. More significantly, we must employ a consistent and productive dialogue with Caribbean nations in order to adequately address the challenges that they face in our Western Hemisphere, now and in the future. Any nation or a nation without allies is our long-standing connection to the Caribbean through immigration and trade make it among our most important relationships. So you may be aware that I co-chair in Washington, D.C., the Congressional Caribbean Caucus, where we monitor everything that is taking place in the Caribbean region, where we set up a forum to speak with the diplomatic corps from each and every Caribbean nation, and where we receive information on the latest developments in all of the nations of the Caribbean region. And I've worked to strengthen the economic and social ties between the United States and the Caribbean community at large. The Caribbean Basin Economic Recovery Act and the Caribbean Basin Trade Partnership Act provide for special duty-free entry of goods into the United States from designated countries. Unfortunately, the expanded provisions of the latter bill are set to expire later this year. So I'll be working with the Foreign Affairs Committee as well as my colleagues on Capitol Hill, many of whom over the past session are actually Caribbean descendant themselves. So we have a much larger group of individuals sitting in Congress today who represent the descendants of Caribbean immigrants in Washington, D.C., which is making it a lot easier for us to really cover the expanse of the Congress in advocating for what is needed in the U.S.-Caribbean relationship. So it goes without saying that a healthy and economically strong Caribbean is a benefit to its citizens as well as the United States. We know that we are entering hurricane season, which in many parts of the region provide a another challenge, particularly in the age of COVID, because we know that putting people together in spaces that are not aired out, where people must congregate, presents a threat to the spread of the COVID-19 virus. So we are monitoring hurricane season. We are working to look at what plans can be put in place here in the US so that people will have spaces where they're socially distant and can be safe in the event that there is a hurricane that comes across the country. Likewise, in the Caribbean region, working with various ministries to see what plans can be put in place to keep people safe during this hurricane season. So that's just the tip of the iceberg of what is taking place in Washington, D.C. There is a bill that is going to be moving in Washington, D.C. next week called the National Defense Authorization Act. And within that bill, I've also offered an amendment that would strengthen, again, the military cooperation between the United States and the Caribbean region, helping Caribbean nations to strengthen their borders, to make sure that any support that they need in terms of maritime patrolling and air traffic controlling, that the United States stands as a partner in making sure that we keep the region safe. So to my sister, Monica Sanchez, to this wonderful Miss CARICOM organization that has done so much work in grooming young women of Caribbean descent, thank you so much for your prayers, your support, your encouragement. We did it. This was not an effort that was just me alone, but all of the goodwill, the prayers, those who could really be a validator of the work that I've been doing for our community yielded the dividends that brought us such a tremendous, tremendous outpouring of support on Election Day. I want to express my gratitude once again and say that this is a continuum and a motivation to do even more as we look at this upcoming election. I am partisan, so I'm going to let you know that we must get rid of Donald Trump, who has not looked after our interests, who has been mean and disgusting, who has been inept and has targeted our communities for his most mean and disgusting policies, particularly in the spaces of immigration. We are looking at the outcome of the pandemic and how it has disproportionately hit communities like ours, the lack of resources that have been coming to our communities. We must express our preferences. I'm looking forward to a partnership in the new Congress with a new president and a new Senate so that we can move forward with all of the things we need to do to rebuild post-COVID-19, to make a stronger America, and that means stronger families in stronger communities. So thank you all so very much. And thank you, Madame Monica Sanchez.
I love you from that said to the moon and back. Congresswoman, I want to know if you can touch on a topic that's close to my heart, and it's abuse. It's really domestic violence and this form of abuse. I know that each country is suffering, and Guyana, that I was born in, is also suffering. The State Department, I know that they have to be more rigid restrictions or acts coming from leaders such as America to push these countries into having stricter and more taking better action. Is there anything going on the State Department level that can that you can share with us that would help that, or that is targeted towards helping resolve this situation or getting it to a better place?
Well, we have always had support through the State Department in the space of helping sovereign nations to develop programming for the issues of domestic violence. And unfortunately, under the Trump administration, that has not continued to be the case. The level of financial support that we provide has been diminished. The interaction, quite frankly, has not been substantive. They have been solely focused on pressuring the Caribbean region around the issues regarding Venezuela, and all the other programs that we have typically tried to build up have really languished under this administration, which is why I'm looking forward to a new administration coming in where we can be far more influential in making sure that funding is going to USAID, which does a lot of that programming on the ground, working with civil society, NGOs, to build up shelter systems and resources and independent sort of living skills for women who must flee abusive situations. Those are programs that have been standing programs within the State Department. But as I've said, unfortunately, there is not that focus under the current configuration of the State Department, in the same way that we see, that lack of focus, quite frankly, from the federal government across the nation. We have had to rely on our state governments to help. And we know that there have been an uptick in domestic violence here in the US as a result of the stay-at-home orders and the shelter-in-place orders. So when municipal and local and state governments have been covering those costs, these are things that we are pushing our federal government to reimburse to our state and local governments. There's more work to be done in that space, Monica, and I'm so glad that you and the Ms. CARICOM organization are focused on this. And I'm looking forward to, again, as January rolls around, putting out that menu of programming and financial support to the Caribbean region that will, again, undergird and build up a far more robust programming and collaboration between the US and the Caribbean region.
Congresswoman, you know you're the love of my life. I would like you to give our listeners, and this will be broadcast internationally, your information in your district, because it's not over yet. We need leaders like you, and we need support, and where they can call or email or go to the office so that they could know what they need to do during this post-election season that's going on right now. So I'd like you to give us that information. And when you're finished, I'd also like you to address anything that the State Department may have on the child protection.
Okay, so let me start by saying that if you want information about the upcoming presidential elections, now I will be on the ballot once again in November, along with all of our presidential candidates and our state representatives. You can go to voteyvette.com, voteyvette.com. That's VOTE, Yvette, YVETTE, one word, .com. And if you need support on any other matter that is non-political, you can reach my official office at 222 Lenox Road. That's between Nostrand and Rogers Avenue. That's Brooklyn, New York, 11226. The phone number there is 718-287-1142, or you can go to my official website, which is Clarke, C-L-A-R-K-E, Clarke, C-L-A-R-K-E, .house.gov, .house.gov. And there you will also see a menu of the services that my office provides. And then with child protection laws, those are always on the book. That's a law that has been passed by Congress and signed into law. The enforcement of it, however, sits in the executive branch. And so if there are any concerns around child protective services in the international realm, you can contact me at my office so I know specifically what cases you're concerned about. But again, we are dealing with an administration that does not share our values. And unfortunately, there is not the type of aggressive, the aggressive enforcement that would typically be a part of the State Department agenda under the Trump administration. So we've got a lot of work to do, a lot of ground to cover, because unfortunately, we have someone sitting in the White House who was not prepared for this job, who is narcissistic. Everything is about Donald Trump and his corrupt and criminal activities, and everything having to do with the people and the concerns that we have as residents of the United States have gone by the wayside. We need to make sure that we stay in the fight, we stay in the movement, and that we push for justice, fairness, and equity. And we do that through two tools that we have. One, of course, for those who are registered to vote, is to use that vote, its power. But the other means of doing that is filling out the census. Filling out the census. In the 9th District, we are behind in the national average of filling out the census. And the great thing about the census is, regardless of your status, you can exercise power in American society. The census is power. It's power, it's money, it's respect. And if we fill out our census, we are pushing back on every cruel thing that Donald Trump has done to our communities. And that's why I say we need to weaponize that census. Fill it out. It's anonymous. That does not address or affect your status in the United States, but it brings power to our communities. It brings resources to our communities, and it brings respect to our communities. So I want to encourage everyone. You can fill it out online. Many have received it in the mail. You can fill it out and mail it back, or you can use your mobile phone and fill out the 10 questions. That's all it's asking. Please, please, please take a moment, if you haven't already, to fill out the census. And if you have filled out the census, my challenge to everyone who has filled it out is to find one person in your circle who has it and help them to fill it out as well.
You know, there's a fear that if you do the census, they're going to show up at your door and take you away. And we just need people to know that that's false. All of that is false.
Absolutely. And let me say this. We are not a people of fear. If there's one thing I know about Caribbean people, the only thing we fear is God. And so let us continue to have that courage, to be the backbone as immigrants to this country, to say that we are here and we are here to stay. When we don't fill out the census, we're essentially saying we're not here. And I hear all the time in my community, where's the housing for me? How come our people are being pushed out and we're not being accounted for? And I remind people, 10 years ago, when we were to fill out the census, we fell short. But you know who filled out the census? The people who we see moving into our communities today. They do 100% because they understand the power that it represents. And when we don't fill out the census, we're saying, in effect, we're not here. And when you see the hostility, the fact that there are apartments being developed that we cannot afford, it's because 10 years ago, we didn't fill out the census. Let's not repeat that mistake. I am fighting for affordable housing for our community. I'm fighting for public health infrastructure to be stood up. But if we say we're not here by filling out the census and we act as though we're cowards in the midst of all that is taking place around us, the protest movement and everything else, then indeed we are our own enemies in this process. So again, let us put on our courage. Let us go out and use our power. Let us fill out this census like never before, 100% compliance. And I guarantee you that there's nothing this government can do that will stop us and future generations within our community. We're not only filling out the census for ourselves, many who are in between status have US children. Those children must use our medical facilities. Those children must use our educational facilities. The ability for them to have upward mobility in society is tied directly to our response to this census. So let us do this not only for ourselves, but for future generations. 10 years will be determined by what we do this year. So please fill out the census.
We have to stop being invisible and start being visible. I want to thank you. I had two of your colleagues on before, Senator James Saunders and Nassau County Executive Carrie Szilagyi, and they both were anxious to wait to hear you speak. And they both mentioned you in their presentation. So I just want you to know that you have admirers all over the place. I have to compete now.
Senator Sanders and I served in the New York City Council together, and I was so proud, of course, of Carrie Szilagyi and his great victory many years ago when he first ran for office. And he and his sister have demonstrated tremendous courage and leadership in Nassau County. So let me also send well wishes to both of them in the work that they're doing.
Thank you, Congresswoman, for your time. It is so wonderful hearing you again, and we are proud of you, and also we are proud of Mama Clark for all she set the pace for all of us. It's been so wonderful what you are doing, especially in the areas of women and children. So keep the battle on. You're always in our prayers, and we got to do more. Now that you are back again, we got to do more, especially this time, because the women and children are really passing through a lot right now. So thank you so much for what you are doing. We will schedule to bring it together with COVID-19 to your office, and then we'll take it from there. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah,
thank you for having me.
Tony, can we go on? Because people are calling out and we need to. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Your voice is very
okay. Thank you so much, Congresswoman. We enjoyed your speech.
Thank you for having me, everyone. And everyone stay safe, stay healthy, stay strong, and stay blessed.
Thank you. So we all know that time has gone so far. We try to round up now by taking just one Q&A. There's a question for Dr. Ada, and then we do vote of thanks and the last words to our attendees. The question says, COVID-19 brought untold hardship to the people, especially the ones with poor socio-economic status, as the so-called palliative was not even distributed. He's talking like some places in Nigeria. How do you assist this set of people to avert frustration and depression so as to help them attain this new normal? This question is directed to Dr. Ada. I'm going to unmute you now, Dr. Ada, to answer the question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and then thank you, our sister that asked the question. Yeah, when I saw the question, I know it's from the giant of Africa, the Nigeria. So, you see, just as we shared in this meeting about partnership, one thing we should know that the government cannot do everything. And the way this pandemic, COVID-19 came, it put everyone in disarray, especially the government. So it's like there was no period preparation that so thing is coming, and then the thing just came, and it came with all sorts of negative impact, fears, confusion, and frustration. And the government were more affected. So what we are, even though the palliative came, yes, it came, but the resources were limited and it couldn't go around. But what we are trying to advise, and that is one of the agendas of Together with COVID-19, is partnership of possible agency, civil societies, individuals who can support to help the hurting, to help the less privileged, to help the vulnerable group. We are not yet done. The COVID-19 is not yet done. Over here, companies are folding, people are losing jobs, no money, no food, activities are not on for people to start yielding income, no cross exchange, economic is now very down. So there is still wars coming up. But what is more important is that we should sit up to come out with strategies that can be able to help. We should build our strength of partnership. We should be there for one another. We should work in togetherness to be able to solve this issue. Not only solving it, I didn't say solve because I don't think we can solve this in the near 1 or 2 months, but to support each other. I think that is what we should be gearing out at right now. Education, the health, providing necessary information, necessary support services, necessary assistance should be what should help encourage people to be strong. And palliative, yes, even if you receive it, but how long will it take you? So we need more ideas and more support, more partnership to be able to solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ada, for the answer you just gave now. We are moving on quickly to Dr. Philip. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yes, thank you so much. You've been there for us. You've been active. I can see you. I do watch your screen. Thank you. Please, we want you to give a 1-minute remark on what the word you have for everyone on this program.
All right. Well, in the same manner that we came together to address issues and the problems, as I said to one tribal leader that I spoke to a few weeks ago, I said that the COVID has not destroyed your food crop. It does not destroy your homes, your houses, and all of that. The resources are still there. What we have to do is to devise innovative ways and plans to help each other in providing food, shelter, housing, whatever the need is, because the resources are there. It's just that because of certain system that we have, the resources is in the hands of a few. But if we come together, there is no problem that we can't solve. In unity, there is strength. Whatever we put our hearts and minds to do in terms of wherever the problem is, it will be solved. Problems are meant to be solved. I like the slogan that we have in Jamaica, no problem, man, meaning that you know, even the way we're communicating here now, solution, there is a scientific solution, there is some form of solution that, you know, can be done. Every one of our people who are, for example, using extra virgin coconut oil, we have overthrown the virus. And somebody, I think it was Professor, who mentioned that one of the things the system don't want us to know is natural solution, because somebody's trying to make billions out of some vaccine they're trying to invent. And they may never even come up, I mean, with that. But a simple thing like extra virgin coconut oil, you do your research, you will see it kill every virus. It has the lauric acid inside of it that destroy virus and bacteria. And some of these things, I mean, the system don't want us to tell people, but you know, we have to be bold enough from the end to say, look, I'm not trying to give you a cure, I'm telling you how you can prevent it. And in my organization here, with a number of pastors and bishops, and in my, you know, circle, we have had nobody that has been affected. I mean, I'm talking health-wise, I mean, with COVID, because from the very beginning, we studied the thing, we got research, we speak to doctors, both naturopathic as well as medical. We got our information, we passed it on. And as such, I mean, we were able to come up with effective, I mean, preventative measures.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Fit.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, ma'am, Professor May. Can you please give us your summary and what we are going to take home from you? Your mic is on mute. I'm going to unmute you right now.
Okay.
Yes, so you can speak, ma'am.
Okay. Summarily, you know, what I want to say is that despite every other thing, that it seems that all these health problems, whether it's virus or SARS, it seems as if it will be coming up every 5 years, or, you know, so often, that we are looking for permanent solution to this type of problem. And in doing so, you have to look inwards and see what you can do for yourself. It is said that a wise man understands a lot of unspoken words. What I mean is that the people that are given, the people that you get assistance from, it seems as if their new generations are not as benevolent as their grandfathers, that in time, the assistance will be diminishing. So what we need to do is to galvanize local and regional efforts and get advantageous position where you can have competitive or comparative advantage. So you'll be in a position to partner with others, to negotiate, to partner, rather than asking. If you keep asking and the people are not given, you become a beggar. But if you have a foundation, you have some platform, you can negotiate with others and exchange both ideas and resources, so that the developing countries generally should look for ways to take their destiny into their hands and continue to develop their regions through cooperation, through regional cooperation, through integration, so that they could form a formidable force to handle any challenges that are coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor May. Thank you so much, Ma, for your time. It's been a long time online here. Thank you so much, Ma. Do we have Terry? Do we have Mrs. Terry online? I think she's not here, so I move on. I know Congresswoman has left. She's not here with us. So we move on while we're trying to round up. I'll call upon Ambassador Monica Sanchez to also give us your own summary and closing remark and thank everybody for this event.
I want to say thank you, my tech person, for first of all. I want to thank you first of all for being the tech guy and doing such a wonderful job. I know we're like 6 hours ahead and the time difference, so I know that it has to be challenging for you, and you seem wide awake doing such a magnificent job. So thank you, sir. I want to say that I would like to leave today the 5 P's: people, partnership, peace, planet, prosperity. A lot of the discussion today is based on partnership that has to do with people and of course our planet, and economics, which has to do with prosperity. So I think that if organizations work together, partnership, and we can engage the people, we can try to protect the planet, and we will find some kind of peace, and through that we will have prosperity. So I think all the discussions today spotlight some of those issues. I'd like us to think closely about that, and we'll plan our next event, of course. I want to thank all the panelists to participate. It has been a long program. I especially want to thank Dr. Ada, whose dedication to this project is beyond my scope. So thank you, Dr. Ada, and everyone else. And I'll see you guys again on our next panelist, Mr. Trevor Ford. I hope next time we can engage you a little bit more. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your time here. And I tell our attendees that we will reach you through the email. So all the presentations so far, you're going to receive them in your email. And the Q and answer that we couldn't take today, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Keep in touch with us and stay tuned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you, Prof. Tome from Nigeria. Thank you, Tony from Abuja. Thank you, Dr. Finn from Canada. Thank you for your continued love and patience with us. God will bless you all. What else can I say? Thanks to Ms. CARICOM, and we admonish the Congresswoman for her time and the wonderful work she's doing. And as a gender activist, we can continue to support her. So, Dr. Monica Sanchez, I can't thank you. I know you always money will begin to come now in Jesus' name. Thank you so much. And Tony is the director for the Media and Center for SDG Global Education USA, and he's doing a wonderful job operating this department from Nigeria. And I don't know how to thank him, but I'll keep on telling him that the young shall grow. So keep growing, Tony. The young shall grow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our Senator.
Thank you wonderfully for your time. And I know this event is also aired as the FM 99 or something radio from your office. Trevor is the president of the East Coast Radio, and is also airing this international through his radio. Thank you for your time and everything. We have more work to do. The 5 P's is calling on us together with COVID-19. And then also my sister and mentor, Professor May Moye, I don't want to say thank you because you are doing what you're supposed to do for your junior sister. So I continue to lean on you.
Monica.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Who else?
Hey, Trevor. Here, Trevor.
No, Monica.
I've appreciated Trevor for your time. We need to talk more on what we can do, especially now we have a movement on together with SDG with COVID-19 through the East Coast.
I think he wants to make a comment.
Oh, okay. Trevor, can you make a comment, please?
No, this was just for Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, and also to let Monica know that we have a second Caribbean American in the House of Representatives. My second son, Zach, just got elected to the House of Representatives, so we have some more support that we're going to reach
Wow.
out to him on
Wow.
Benji.
Congratulations.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you so much, and congratulations to him. Which other we want to also thank the other speakers, panelists, Mr. Paul Anthony, other ones that called it
Saunders, Senator Saunders, Carrie
Sanders.
Solaje.
Sanders has been a wonderful father, and we encourage his initiative on the economic development in community, and he's doing wonderfully well. It's also been a strength to what Ms. CARICOM is doing in the community, trying to help us with palliative and the food. You must know that in the past 3 weeks, Ms. CARICOM has been able to feed more than 1,000 people on this palliative. So it's a good start in addressing this together. And right now we are publishing preventive measures on COVID in Spanish language and French and other community languages that we come across. So there is more work to do now to be able to move this movement around. I will count on you. In fact, I believe that all of you panelists are now as stakeholders to this partnership, and will continue to meet you as such to the glory of God. Thank you for your time, and thank everyone for your support. We will be sending out the report very soon and the outcome from this meeting and further actions. We do hope to have another event in August, and when the time is scheduled, we'll let you know. Thank you so much.
Carrie Solaje, Nassau County.
Thank you. Thank you.